Yeah, oh, there we go. Thank you, Councillor Anderson. Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the February 23rd, 2026 regular council meeting. Another blistery one out there again today, but we'll get right into it. It's a short meeting, or should be. I may have just cursed it. Sorry, everyone. Sorry. Adoption of the agenda. Members, there's an agenda before you. Councillor Anderson, with a motion, please.
Thank you, Mr. Deputy Mayor. I'll move that Town Council adopt the February 23rd, 2026 regular council meeting agenda as presented this evening.
Administration, is there anything to add to the agenda?
Thank you, Deputy Mayor. Nothing to add. I believe there's a bit of a protocol change, so to speak, on 4.1 that we can speak to when that comes up.
Certainly. Thank you, Administration. Other than that, I'll call the question. All in favor? Perfect. Thank you. That carries. Public input session. This is the time we allow members of the public to speak to council about anything that is not on the current agenda. Administration, has anyone registered to speak?
Through the Deputy Mayor, no one has registered this evening.
All right, and I'll make the obligatory statement. Is there anyone in council chambers that would like to speak to council about anything that is not on the current agenda? Not seeing any. We'll move on to 4.1, presentations and delegations. This evening we have one item, the appointment of the Deputy Mayor. We'll get the motion first and then get administration to talk about it, I guess. Councillor Niebergall, can we get you to make the motion, please?
Thank you, Deputy Mayor. I move that the Town Council appoint Councillor Justin Laurie as Deputy Chief Elected Official for the term of March 1, 2026 to June 30th, 2026, or until the appointment of the next Deputy Chief Elected Official. Thank
you, Councillor Niebergall. Now, my notes don't make anything about us debating this. I don't think there's anything we need to debate, Councillor Laurie, but we will ask administration to make a comment on this evening since we're missing the mayor.
Thank you through the Deputy Mayor to all of Council. With the Mayor being unable to attend the meeting this evening, we have simply changed protocol to appoint the next Deputy Mayor on March 1st so that the swearing in can occur at the March 2nd GMP meeting to make sure that everything is official. Thank you.
Thank you. And that's the motion up there. So I will ask, we vote on this, yes? Yes. So, yes, sorry, I'll ask the question. All in favor? Carried. Okay. Thank you. Statutory public hearing. There is no public hearing this evening. So we're going to move on to number 6. Adoption of council minutes. Members of council, you've had the opportunity to read and review the council meeting minutes from February 9th. Sorry, does this not require a motion as well to adopt the, yeah. So I'll have to ask someone to make that motion, but first I'll ask, are there any errors or omissions? Anyone sees? Okay, thank you. Councillor Laurie, can you make the motion, please?
Thank you, Mr. Deputy Mayor. I'll move the Town Council approve the February 9th, 2026 regular council meeting minutes as presented.
And sorry, I'll just ask again if anyone saw any errors or omissions that they want to make any corrections on. Okay, seeing none, I'll call the question. All in favor? Perfect, thank you. That is carried. Moving on to number 7, council boards, committees, and committee minutes. Tonight, we have one set of minutes from the Community and Social Roundtable Development. Maybe we'll just start with making the motion and then asking if there's any questions. Is that's fair to do? Yes? Okay. Councillor Palechko.
Yes, thank you, Deputy Mayor. The Town Council received the council board and committee minutes for information.
Okay, and thank you. Now I'll open it to any questions to the committee member. No? Seeing none, then I'll just call the question. All those in favor of adopting the minutes? Perfect, thank you. That is also carried. Moving on to number 8, We have no bylaws scheduled this evening, so we get to move on to business items. We have one business item this evening, the 2026 cemetery update. Administration, please proceed.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor. Just ahead of the manager's presentation, just want to say tonight we are very happy to be presenting an update on the cemetery. This is an important project, and that's the end service that the administration is finalizing. Just prior to the presentation, I just want to note that there's been significant consideration to the services provided for the cemetery. I want to give council assurance that what is being presented tonight considers the greatest care and respect for the cemetery. What is being presented represents a balancing of several considerations from those that will use it, to the staff that will support it, and to the contractors that will maintain it. One additional note that isn't in the presentation that we just heard back today is regarding the final cemetery certificate. We did receive some feedback from the Government of Alberta just very recently. It's very positive. We're not yet finalized it, but we are confident we will have that document completed in the timelines being presented tonight. With that, I'll pass this off to the Manager of Infrastructure Operations for his presentation.
Good evening, Deputy Mayor and Council. The Stony Plain Cemetery will provide the individuals and families with a broader community with generational connection to our community by offering a final resting place that ties them to the town of Stony Plain. Throughout the design and construction, care has been taken to create a space that is comforting, low maintenance, and aesthetically pleasing, with the goal of a place of memory that offers accommodating services for all demographics. Current phase of the cemetery is estimated to accommodate 40 years. This presentation will provide an update, a summary of key construction milestones from 2025, and highlights the key initiatives sales plan, the operations plan, and will continue in 26 as administration transitions towards opening the cemetery. Twenty 2025 saw the completion of the cemetery site shaping, road, parking lot, and trail paving in November 2025, and columbarium installation by December of 2025. The Alberta Cemetery Certificate was applied to in January 2026 and will be required for opening. 2026 construction finalization includes surveying, the plot pinning, turf seeding, which will start in the spring once the ground is thawed, and design and installation of a scattering garden that must be completed. Services that will be offered by the cemetery will include monument burial plots. These are standard burial plots for caskets and/or cremated remains with an upright monument. Which allow for two interment caskets, one on top of each other, and/or one casket with up to 6 cremated remains with an upright monument. Flat marker burial plots. These are standard burial plots for caskets, again, up to 2 caskets, or 1 casket with up to 6 cremated remains with a flat burial marker. Flat marker cremation plots, which are small burial plots for up to 2 cremated remains with a flat marker. Columbariums. Columbariums, communal and family-sized above-ground structures with granite fronts and niches for cremated remains containers are available. Other services that the Spruce Grove Cemetery will be providing. Stony Plain, thank you. Green burial plots. These are plots for single-depth, environmental sensitive green burial with the option for memorialization on a medallion plaque placed on a group monument. Green burials offer an environmental sensitive approach that allow for a natural return to earth with a minimum impact on the land. Scattering garden is a designated space for scattering of cremated remains. And the veterans burial area with standard burial plots, flat marker plots, and columbarium. Each of the services above will be opened in Stage 1, which is the purple section in 2026. Stage 1 will be filled, and then the next stage will open as it fills. Stage 1 opens with 370 cemetery plots and 120 columbarium niche locations. Cemetery sales, documents, and marketing strategy are targeted to be available to the public in late April. Our goal is to provide an aesthetically pleasing place of memory where families in the broader community can connect with the past, honor legacies, and find peace. Maintaining a thoughtful design landscape where we can provide the dignity of those being honored while providing peace of mind and compassion to their families is the utmost of importance. To achieve this, the cemetery opening and sales will be available in a 3-tiered approach. Tier 1 will commence in May and include sales and interments related to columbarium niches and family columbarium plots. Tier 2 will open upon the completion of the scattering garden in July to allow for scattering of ashes with memorial medallions placed on group monument. And Tier 3, which will occur in September, will allow for burial within all plot types, including full and cremated burials and the green burial section. Sales for both the scattering and burial plots may commence earlier. However, actual interring of remains may not occur until the opening of each tier. Urgent need requests may be considered on a case-by-case basis. Purchasers will have the opportunity to purchase interment rights for the cemetery, which provide purchaser the right to inter remains in the Stony Plain Cemetery. Both pre-need and at-need will be offered, and individuals will be able to select a plot within the open stage of the cemetery at point of sale. As we heard, interest from council for the option to pay in the advance for interment. That option will be considered for discussion in the fees and charges. Cemetery operational plan. A tender for cemetery operations will be sent out in February, and the cemetery operations tender will close in May, with agreement scheduled to be signed early in May, and cemetery operations will start at the end of May. Cemetery maintenance and vendors will be looking after interment services, ground maintenance, and cemetery inspections, being looked after by Public Works supervisor and manager. Cemetery operation timeline and next steps. April, we'll present the fees and charges to council. May, public sales begins at Town Hall. Cemetery operations phase starts. And by September 2026, Stony Plain Cemetery is fully open. Thank you.
Thank you, administration. Council, the floor is open for questions of clarity and understanding. Councillor Anderson.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor, and thank you to administration for the presentation. Certainly have heard from the community during my time on council about the priority of having a municipal cemetery, and it's exciting, maybe not the right word, but to see that work come to fruition for families to have a permanent resting place within our community. I do have two questions this evening. One is related to our overall organizational transition with the enterprise resource software program, and I know there was some dialogue in the past about the possibility of building in modules that would support cemetery operations. Just looking to administration through you, Deputy Mayor, if we have an update on whether that's something we'll be able to support moving forward, or if an alternative has come up in the meantime.
Administration.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor, through to Councillor Anderson, all of council. Yes, the intent is to be using one of the new phases of our online portals related to some cemetery software for the sales. We will be using an interim measure outside of that platform for the beginning part of the sales. So we do expect that as soon as we have that platform operational, we will transition over to that. But not having it operational is not going to inhibit us from beginning the sales and tracking everything.
I appreciate that, and certainly nice to hear that this will be a piece that we can incorporate into our resource software and something that hopefully can find some synergies for our staff moving forward. I do have one additional question, Deputy Mayor, if that's okay?
Yes, please proceed.
Thank you. We heard in the presentation a projection of 40 years. When I look at the map on page 30, I'm just looking for some clarity for administration. When we look at a 40-year outlook, does that include the 6 stages as marked on this particular map? Or would the 40 years include the future use that's outlined but not planned into a stage at this point?
Through Deputy Mayor to all of Council, Councillor Anderson, thank you for the question. In the presentation, the area outlined on page 30 as you reference is for that 40-year outlook.
Okay, and so then if we backed up a page to page 29, we do see an indication here on the right-hand side, future phase, and the expectation then would be that that phase would carry us beyond the 40 years. Beyond what we see on this particular site plan, is there any adjacent lands that have currently been considered, I guess, for future phases, or will this future phase maybe double sort of the capacity? The reason I ask is it looks quite small in comparison to what's already been phased out, and so maybe just a longer term projection of the total space that's available there.
Proceed, please.
Through Deputy Mayor to Councillor Anderson, all of Council, thank you for the question. So you are correct. It's there are 2 phases to the site. This is maybe I'll speak to the scale of the entire parcel first. There is an additional north parcel that we have some joint ownership with Parkland County on the north side that isn't shown here. There's also the phase 2, which you have pointed out as future developed phase, and that's expected to be sufficient for the needs of the cemetery for beyond the 40-year horizon. And it's one of these parts of the service and dialogue that we have when we're building out these facilities, that we plan for a certain point, and then as we get close to that point where we start to envision that we might be filling up the cemetery, we would start to look at what we're going to need in the short and medium term, and then long term if we need to look elsewhere. We're not concerned with space considerations right now. For anyone that might visit the site in the near term, even the section that's been developed is quite large. So it's while the map indicates everything, because we have to show things for scale to explain the services and where things are, it is a large site.
Okay, so just a quick follow-up then, if you don't mind. Certainly, it's hard to project usage and so on. Just sort of our best ballpark with what we see in front of us, certainly the left side of the image being 40 years with the additional capacity on the other side. Do we forecast 80 years, 60 years, or do we have a ballpark as to what we might expect to see?
Administration.
Through Deputy Mayor to Councillor Anderson, I would say it's a fair assumption that you could double, like for the sake of the discussion tonight, that you could easily make the projection. It's around doubling the existing number, with some caveats that we would absolutely look at the firm number if we got to that point.
Perfect. Thank you. Appreciate it. Thank you, Deputy Mayor.
Thank you, Councillor Anderson. Councillor Laurie.
Thank you, Mr. Deputy Mayor, and thank you very much for the presentation this evening. Just one question. Well, I've got a few questions. The first question is in regards to timelines here. We basically heard kind of from May through September for the various openings of the different areas of the cemetery. And one of the things that we heard was it was a lot to do with the requirement of needing that grass base to take hold, to help for structural integrity, appearance, etc. But what I'm reading is turf seeding And I'm just curious if you can confirm with the verbiage that that is, in fact, we're laying down seed, and if so, would there be an advantage to laying sod instead of seed?
Administration.
Through Deputy Mayor to Councillor Laurie, thank you for the question. Certainly, we've had that discussion in many different, for many different facilities similar to this. There's always that question of which is the best product, your seed or your sod. There are certainly benefits to either one. In this case, it is seed that we're specifying, and there's a couple of reasons for that. When the seed, when you put sod down, and it depends on the facility being used, I just want to caveat that before I answer any further. There's benefits that the sod goes down, it's green, and you water it, it establishes over time. There's that immediate effect, which I think you're referencing. With the seed, though, you do get that, you do a couple of things. One, you get to maintain the grade that you've established on the area much more effectively. It does establish, when the seed does establish, it does turn into a better product over time. It gives us a longer lasting, better maintainable product, which is one of the goals of the facility, is that we should be able to maintain it to a good level of service for people that come visit. It's not to say a sod wouldn't offer that, but when we consider all factors, there are several, the seed was the better option for this site. However, it does mean, as we're outlining and as you pointed out in this presentation, that there's a tiered level of entry for different services. Now, that's something if we, as we go forward and as we're learning how the service gets established, those are things we'll consider. But for now, we're projecting that these are the dates that we will be aiming at.
Okay, thank you, appreciate that, and if I may?
Yes, please proceed.
Wonderful, thank you. We see the maps, the various maps that are shown here, and aside from the pictures, what isn't really shown is that there's actually a significant grade variation on the site. I'm just wondering, the first question, if you could speak a little bit to the accessibility considerations. Very old school traditional cemeteries are usually quite flat and quite plain, simply organized in rows with pathways and such. This is not your traditional cemetery. It's a very flowy park type space. So I'm just wondering, A, if you can talk to a little bit of the accessibility considerations from that, and then B, the reception maintenance building is not shown in this phase. Obviously, it's shown as future, and I'm just wondering again from an accessibility standpoint, what is the plan for washroom facilities for the cemetery until such a time as that reception and maintenance building is constructed?
Thank you for the questions, Administration.
Through Deputy Mayor to Councillor Laurie, with respect to the accessibility, if it's a large site, and you're right, there are grade variations throughout the site. There's been efforts made with paving the road and hard surfaces throughout that people can drive up to the locations and should be able to access their points of entry wherever they need to go, regardless of the service rendered. So that's I would liken it to being able to drive up and drop off and come back. I wouldn't say that all areas are. I wouldn't recommend wandering into the scattering garden, for example, where there are no paths necessarily taking you to the edge of the entire parcel, for example. But anywhere that there's paved surfaces or deliberate walking paths, those have accessibility considerations built in, so to speak. The second part to your question with future facilities, like you mentioned a washroom, there's no permanent washroom being planned on the site right now. That's something we may consider in the future. Part of what we're building out with the operational plan is if we're going to have some sort of washroom facility like a porta potty or something located in and around that location. We haven't yet firmed that out, but those are things that we've talked about internally about making sure that there might be something available out there.
Excellent, thank you. I would highly encourage, especially given the cemetery's location and sometimes the demographic that are attending funerals and burials, that we would consider a portable toilet at least at the onset. And then again, given the type of facility that it is, maybe looking at an option to make it blend in with the aesthetic some way, shape, or form, maybe some type of privacy screening around it or so on and so forth. And then I just have one last one, right? Yeah. Perfect, thank you. You talked a little bit about the plot purchasing plans, the phasing, and so on and so forth. Through the conversations that the cemetery has developed, there was a lot of conversations that had happened around pre-planning and future purchasing. And I'm just wondering, with the way that the phasing is set up, If people are looking to buy a plot for future use, they're looking to buy and reserve a space for whenever that time may be as they're doing their planning, is that space only going to be in the current phase, or will they be able to buy in the future phase? That's part one of the question. Because part two of that is if we are only allowing sales in the current phase, have we anticipated that, especially in the opening of the cemetery, there may be quite a few pre-planned purchases made, and we may need to expand into second and third phases relatively quickly?
Administration, please.
Other side of the room. Thank you, Deputy Mayor, through you, Councillor Laurie, to all of council. So very good questions that we have put some thought to. And so part of the consideration that we're taking on that is related to the pinning of the plots. And so those are being done in stages. And so considering that, we can only sell what we have actually marked. But as we go through some of the details around the sales, by purchasing at that point in time, they can do some selections. But if the time changes and they want to change their locations, those are administratively something that we can look at providing.
Okay, thank you. I think where my concern potentially comes in is that if we are phasing that in, if we have an influx in sales very quickly when we first open the cemetery, because it's been anticipated for so many years, what happens if somebody contacts the town because they have a deceased loved one that they would like to bury in the cemetery, and we've had an influx in sales and we're not ready with the next phase? Are we essentially saying no to somebody who has a deceased person at that point in time, or how are we working that?
Deputy Mayor, through to Councillor Laurie and all of council, we'll be tracking very closely the sales, and as we sell out of one stage, we will ensure that we're plotting and pinning for the following stages, so that there is no point where we would have to turn away someone who wants to purchase a plot.
Excellent. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Councillor Plechko.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor. A couple of questions, if I could. Thank you, administration, for all the hard work that you've done getting it to this stage. I know our community is quite excited about getting some resting places for some individuals, so thank you for that, first off. Question regarding seeding, back to the grass side of it. Because this is built on a hill, are we hydro-seeding or are we actually disc seeding? And have we given consideration when we're having to do this, how we plan to water this so that it actually grows and becomes effective so that we can actually do something by September?
Administration.
Through Deputy Mayor to Councillor Plechko. Thank you for the question. I don't know if we are hydro-seeding or disc seeding off the top of my head. I do take your point that they have their advantages in establishment. That's something if you can bear me for a couple of minutes here, I'll try and dig up the tender and see if I can confirm that tonight or pretty quickly here. But in any event, I do want to give council assurances that this is something that the contractor does know is important for establishing the seed. So this is something that we would be expecting, no matter what method is used, that they would be able to establish in the timelines that we're asking for them.
Even if you can't get that answer tonight, if you could send it out in an email, that'd be great. The other question I have is regarding burial plots. Just specifically, you mentioned you could have a plot with 2 caskets on it, or 1 casket and several cremations on it. I'm wondering, several families within the community will have a parent, 2 parents, quite possibly, and a multitude of children. If the children are deciding to be cremated, is there an opportunity for them to be buried with the parents? Because if there's 2 caskets, you basically have shut that down.
Through you, Deputy Mayor, to Councillor Plechko. We do, once 2 caskets go onto 1 plot, that plot is closed. If a family would like to be in proximity, there is a choice that we could do for sales for additional buried urns, or there'll be some sales opportunities, but the plots only hold 2 caskets or 1 casket and urns on 1 plot. So if they were going to go, if you had a large family and wanted to do 2 caskets together, they'd have to purchase two plots.
Okay, thank you for that. If I could, I just want to reflect off that a little bit. Is there a possibility of having larger lots so that could happen then?
Through you, Mr. Mayor, to Councilor Paleschko. At this point, the plots are a set size that we have. There is opportunities to do multiple plots together, side by side, but to increase the size of the plots at this time is not available.
Go ahead.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor. I'm just going to add a little bit to that. One of the things that will be offered during the sales component of this will be discussions about how best to accommodate families or considerations like that. And so that's where we can have the discussion with the family about the size or potential size of the areas that they need. So we can always ensure if there is 2 plots side by side, and let's say 2 have caskets, and then you have the cremations in the other. That's one of the things that'll be offered during the sales component of this, is to have those conversations to see how we can best set up and place the different locations or types that are required for the family.
Thank you. I appreciate that there's the option that they'll be able to have at the time so that they can have their loved ones close by. So thank you for that.
Okay, thank you for those questions, Councillor Paleschko. Just looking around the table, any other? Okay, thank you. I'll just take an opportunity to ask a few of my own questions. I just want to thank Councillor Laurie. Certainly accessibility was on my list of questions. I guess through me to the... Anyhow, that was bad. Yeah, through me to you. So with the phasing, as we open it in phases, certainly we can anticipate people with limited mobility being driven as close to wherever their burial or the memorial is occurring. I'm just curious about the condition of the site. It's where we talked a lot about seating, and that'll take some time as it unthaws and all the rest of that. Are we anticipating any challenges when it comes to, you know, maybe a construction mess, or if you could just make comment on that?
Thank you, Deputy Mayor, for the question. That's actually been a top of mind question for us, and as we've been getting this presentation prepared for tonight, is how do we maximize success for everyone to come visit and utilize the cemetery. As I was mentioning at the beginning, there's a lot of thought that's gone into the dates presented in this presentation, trying to be mindful of just that. So what I want to give assurances here is that you know, even if we're hitting those dates and we're trying to, and we're maybe not all, like maybe certain sections are doing better than others, and we're getting concerned with upcoming service being provided, that's something that we would want to work with the proponent, or pardon me, the resident that is going to utilize service about. We're going to try and work with them on on what's going on in the site and what they need. To try and make sure that they're able to access the site in the way that they need to. So it's, I don't have a necessarily a black and white answer on that, but it's something that we're, you know, as people come in and request a service, we're going to work with them on it.
Yeah, Mr. Deputy Mayor, I may just weigh in a little bit on that one, and I want to point out, I'm, you know, straightforward. I'm quite proud of the way our staff have been approaching this. Again, we've talked a lot about hydro seeding and, you know, some of the physical aspects and the infrastructure that's out there. I think we got some public art out there now, and certainly those are the, you know, details and the specifics that need to be looked after and need to be done well. But what I frankly am proud of is that our staff have not lost sight that ultimately what we're wanting to do here is provide a caring experience for people in our community when they are at frankly one of the more difficult points in their life. We've made that a value and a principle that we're approaching all of this for, because inevitably we will run up against some kind of unforeseen circumstance. You know, it might be raining really hard that day, whatever, something will happen. And we need to make sure that we don't lose sight of what we're really trying to do out there. I feel confident that that is permeated the reports that you see and the culture that we are approaching this particular service level or service with, And I think that's what will ultimately, put us in good stead in September, in May, 15 years from now.
Thank you, Town Manager. I certainly appreciate that answer, and I certainly have your guys' concern, all of staff's concern, as well as fellow councillors here. I think everybody's aiming for that goal of getting our cemetery up and running, and certainly there's been some pressures in terms of timeliness, so do appreciate everyone's efforts on that, and I think it shows this evening. Just going to look around, seeing no more questions, then I will, we have made the motion, haven't we? No, we have not. We need to make a motion before we vote on it. Councillor Pletchko, have I asked you yet? Oh, then we'll, Councillor Lyons, please, for the motion.
Wasn't sure if you could see me.
Sorry?
The town council accept the 2026 cemetery update for information.
Perfect. Any questions for debate or comments? No? Yes? No? Perfect. Then I'll ask, I'll call the question. All those in favor? Perfect. Carried. So there we go. Councillor Anderson, we did keep it just a little over a half hour there. But we will now move to everyone's favorite time, council discussion, an opportunity for us all to share maybe some of the events or concerns that we've heard or had raised to us throughout the week. We'll start to my right, Councillor Laurie.
Thank you, Mr. Deputy Mayor. Just one this evening, and we experienced it at the last snowfall where we had snow clearing on the Highway 779. We're experiencing it again. We're in the clearing of Highway 779. The provincial contractor has failed to clean the crosswalks. So again, we have several crosswalks along Highway 779 where pedestrians, young and old, particularly in front of John Paul II School, are trying to cross the road, and they are impeded in the crosswalks by windrows and piles of snow and chunks of ice. Can we get an update on what our strategy is around that to actually have the province clear those crosswalks when they're doing snow clearing?
Thank you, Councillor Laurie. Administration?
Thank you, Deputy Mayor, and to Councillor Laurie and all of Council. Thank you for reporting that in. I hadn't seen that myself today, but it is something that we do hold the province to account on. Given our past experience, I'll probably just speak to our crews about dealing with it ourselves, and we'll follow up with them on our expectations with those locations again. We do track our time and report that back to them, so we will we'll just make sure it gets addressed promptly.
Thank you, appreciate that, and I appreciate that our crews are going above and beyond to do the provincial crew's job. Is there any compensation that the town will be receiving if our crews are taking our time to do that?
Through Deputy Mayor to Councillor Laurie, apologies, that's what I meant when we track our time. This is for the reasons so that we can send those costs over.
Excellent, thank you. And since we don't necessarily have an agreement with the province, do we anticipate they will pay those costs?
Through Deputy Mayor to Councillor Laurie and all of Council, it's something that we would, again, it goes back to the larger conversation, that these are the costs incurred and what are we going to do about it. So that I don't have an answer for that today, but we'll be making our points clear on that.
Excellent, thank you. And a huge thank you again out to our crews for the work that they do, and again, going above and beyond to address these issues that aren't necessarily our issues. And I look forward to you continuing to work with your counterparts and contacts at the province to ensure that they're doing adequate removal on those crosswalks in our community in the future. Thank you. That's all I have this evening.
Thank you, Councillor Laurie. Councillor Pletchko?
Thank you, Deputy Mayor. I'll take a pass.
Thank you, Councillor Pletchko. Councillor Loynes, we'll start with you first on this side.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor. Nothing for me tonight.
Thank you, Councillor Loynes. Councillor Niebergall?
Thank you, Deputy Mayor. I have two things. I want to say that I appreciated the opportunity to participate in our State of the Region filming. I won't speak too much to that other than it was a fun, lighthearted evening, looking back over what was accomplished over 25 and what is to come in 2026. So some laughs, and I definitely look forward to seeing that work come to fruition. And then just a little plug here on March 5th from 3 to 7 p.m. at Golf Biz to review, comment, and discuss the proposed area structure plan. So encourage those with interest to come out and participate in that.
Thank you, Councillor Niebergall, for that little bit of information for us all. Councillor Anderson?
Thank you, Deputy Mayor. I do have 2 questions and 1 comment this evening. Through you to administration, I've spoken with a couple of residents in West Terra with great appreciation for the park and playground and ODR areas and the pathways that allow them to move through that space. With winter being here, certainly it's a little bit darker earlier and later in our day, and there's been some questions about potential lighting for the pathway, and just going to look to administration for some thoughts on whether that's something that may be achievable.
Through Deputy Mayor to Councillor Anderson and all of Council. Yeah, so there's I believe this was a question from the previous meeting. There was a location that you were mentioning over at near the ODR. Is this the same location?
The West Terra ODR Park Playground, that sort of whole area. Yeah, we've had a couple of residents just suggest that even walking pets and such through the center of it when it's dark out is a little bit disconcerting, and there was some hope that we could look at some lighting potentially in that area.
Thank you for the clarity. Through your Deputy Mayor to Councillor Anderson, I did speak with the supervisor and that looks after the lighting. That's something that's on his radar to look into for this year.
Awesome, great news. I know they'll be appreciative of that, and certainly it's being light longer, and so certainly appreciate timeline there before next winter. Potentially seeing something. Do you have another question? I did email this in, so I will apologize to administration. I didn't see sort of an update today, but did want to bring up the crosswalk at 43rd Ave in the South Business Park. This is one from the gas station sort of across to Safeway there. We had some older lights there. I know that there's been some issues. We moved some lights to be there. Coming through that area this weekend, there was a lady coming across the crosswalk. She had pushed the button, but only one of the plethora of lights that were there was actually flashing. And there was a vehicle traveling at a little bit higher rate of speed that didn't see. Certainly in time, they were able to avoid any collision and didn't run through or anything like that. But I believe Council approved some updates to that area, not this past corporate plan, but the one previous to that. Just looking for an update on what we can expect in that area of our community around pedestrian safety.
Through Deputy Mayor to Councillor Anderson, all of Council. So happy to give an update on that. So you're correct. There was some funding provided in a previous corporate plan. We did perform the warrant review of that location and determined a number of improvements that could be made. Those included improved lighting as well as some geometric changes. So what I mean by that is some directional flow changes with traffic. We did work to get the tender out as vehemently as we could. It did get, the seasons changed on us a little too fast before we could get the work done. So it is currently scheduled for spring, whenever that should occur in this part of the world, for the geometric work. Now, the one thing I will say is we're trying to advance as quickly as we can is some improved lighting at that location, just to improve the crosswalk location there. I do go there from time to time just to test it myself, just to see how it's going. If I do observe that there's some of the crosswalk buttons aren't functioning properly, or if I'm not seeing the lights turn on, I do myself make sure that that's passed on to our ops teams, and they're generally responsive to that location as they know it's of the concerns the community's brought forward. So I just want to give council assurance that we're as many eyes as we can have on that location to make sure it's staying proper is being done. However, we can't be everywhere at every time. If someone does notice it, please send it to Public Works. We'll get on it as quickly as we can. But in the meantime, we are trying to advance the lighting changes as quickly as we can ahead of the spring.
Perfect. Thank you, Deputy Mayor, and thank you, administration, for the update there. So then just for clarity, this weekend, the lights were not working correctly. And so just a point of note this evening, and appreciate administration's attention there. And then with that, just to pick up on Councillor Niebergall's comments around our State of the Region video filming, certainly a highlight for many, but there are a few staff that go above and beyond with that particular initiative, and that's our comms team, and this year one of our municipal interns, something that I've heard so much about during my time on council, and the role of our municipal interns and the quality of programming that they're provided, and the work that they get to do. And so just want to express my gratitude to our intern, to our staff for running the intern program, and to our comms team for their work pulling that together. And we look forward to that video coming out March 19th with the Greater Parkland Region Chamber of Commerce, just as a way to celebrate what's gone on over the last year.
Thank you, Councillor Anderson. So I guess I get to close. I get to just share my stories, I guess. So this weekend, had the opportunity to also fill in for the mayor at a Black History event held in Spruce Grove at the heavy metal event. Brought greetings on behalf of the town, and enjoyed some drumming and spoken word, which is actually a first for me. So that was culturally enriching. And as well, I also spent the weekend watching a whole bunch of boxing down at our Heritage Pavilion. Provincial championships were in town. A couple of local kids won some opportunities to present or represent the province, as well as there was an Olympian that I got to watch. Boy, they are good. Anyhow, but I share the story because at the beginning we dutifully stood to sing our national anthem, and everybody turned to face the flag. No flag. There's no flag at the Heritage Pavilion. So anyhow, I thought I'd share that with administration, and I know Tom being a flag file, that's the term? Is that actually the term? He would enjoy that one. Anyhow, other than that, that's all my stories. Thank you, council, for reading your agendas and being prepared with some good questions. And that brings us to closed meeting, which there is no closed meeting. So then we move on to adjournment. That brings us to the end of the evening. Thank you.